Greg Lambert, the editor of the LVN newsletter, and this month we are shining our spotlight on one of the co-chairs of the LVN Education Committee. Shawn Gross is the Director of Pricing and Legal Project Management at Constangy. How do you say that?
Constangy.
Constangy,
Yep.
Brooks,
Constangy.
Smith, and Prophete.
Yep. Prophete.
All
Yep.
right. In Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm an old King and Spalding alum, so I've been to Atlanta many times. So Shawn, thank you very much for letting us shine the spotlight on you.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, Greg.
All right. So want to just kind of get some background on you. How did you end up in legal operations, and what's some of the things that you find really rewarding about the work?
Well, how I ended up, I got a bachelor's degree in finance. I have a law degree as well. Didn't really want to do either one exclusively, so I never practiced. And really how I got into pricing in particular at prior firm many, many years ago. In fact, before we knew pricing was a profession, and in fact, this was even before that firm got a marketing, anybody in marketing.
Wow.
I'd had a CFO couldn't do a proposal, and so I ended up running the numbers on it. And from then they started punting any proposals to me. Then they had a young partner that had a proposal that came in, and he had never done one before. And so they said, "Hey, can you help him out?" So not only did I do pricing, but I was helping him write it. And I was thinking about it earlier. I'm pretty sure it was Microsoft Publisher that downloaded and was like, okay, I think this will help me prepare it. And so from there, I started helping write all the proposals. Luckily, when we got a marketing team in, I didn't have to write them all and could focus on the pricing. But it's one of those things that's kind of funny that now my role, having the law degree, helps translate. That's for sure, and even helps with the pricing and the LPM aspect, and obviously on the finance part. The worlds have kind of combined. Which
When
really
you said Microsoft Publisher, the first thing I thought of was those trifold pamphlets that we used to create.
Yeah, and I think that's what it was originally for. Yes, is for actually printing out. Boy, that was a while ago.
Yeah. Well, it's a story as old as time of no good deed goes unpunished. So if
That's
they find
right.
out you're really good at something, it's like, hey, this is now your job. So what's one of the things that you find really rewarding about doing this side of the legal operation?
Well, I mean, I think really for most of us who are in any kind of service position, obviously you like helping people. I've said this, who knows how many times, when you get an email reply that just says, "Hey, this was very helpful," or they, telling you on the phone, to me, that's a fabulous thing. I always love new challenges. So, and it's even one thing where, the shiny new challenge or object, I gravitate towards those. I also, I think on the, on the LPM side, it drives me nuts when I see things that aren't working as well as they should. And I end up saying yes to stuff that is technically not related to what I do just because, oh, that needs fixing. Let's take a look at this.
Yeah, well, you got the right personality for this type of work then. So, well, let's switch gears a little bit. We talked a little before we started recording. So let's look at the personal side of Shawn Gross here. And tell us what you enjoy doing in your personal time, some kind of hobby or passion outside of work.
Yeah, like we did talk about on the side. I actually have during law school, I was a club DJ, which means I didn't have the best grades in law school, but I had a great time. And have always been kind of a part-time musician. So one thing I love doing when I get the time is I built out a music studio, converted my garage, and that was actually to really convert that was a COVID project. So I have a studio. So yeah, when I get the chance, on the weekends, sometimes in the evenings, love going down, writing, recording. That to me, it's funny. I can check my resting heart rate, and when I'm down in the studio, it literally lowers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it really does. And that's one that I've confirmed through so many times. It's like, wow, my heart rate really goes, oh, okay, you're good. Things are
Well,
better.
that's good. That's nice to have a hobby that lowers your heart rate rather than raises it. Although
Yeah.
when you get, I'm sure when you get the credit card statement at the end for all the things you buy for it, maybe that's when your heart rate goes back up.
No, no, no. I've had them all. I haven't bought anything in ages. Yeah.
Okay, good, 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 good. So, well, let's switch back to the Legal Value Network, and you are one of the co-chairs for the Education Committee, and so in your role with the Education Committee, you have exclusive insight. What insights do you have on the offerings for LVN and the programming for this year?
Well, we are just getting our new committee together for the coming year. So Elizabeth and I have been reaching out to, some of the people that have been on the education committee before, obviously some new people. And I've been on the education committee for, boy, I think this will be fourth year. So, we're, obviously rotating people in, to get a fresh voice. Um, you know, One thing with it, and this has certainly been true in all the years, and I know it's something we're going to certainly strive for this year, is really trying to get at what do people in the LVN community want to know. That's one that we really try and pay a lot of attention to. And like I said, this has been true of every year. Certainly, one thing I think we're going to do a little bit different this year, we're exploring different formats. Don't know how that will shake out, but we are looking at, can we change up the format a little bit depending on what the topic is. Another thing this year that we've talked about already is trying to tie in our work on the education committee a little more closely with LVNX. So obviously we know LVNX has some great programming, and what we've done in the past also is look at, all the great submissions that come in for LVNX. Some are great for the actual conference. Others might be better for a webinar or a session. So in the past, we have looked at those ideas. We'll certainly be doing that again. But like I said, we're going to try and tie in, the content with LVNX.
Nice. So if you have members that are listening now that want to know more or kind of understand behind the scenes, what's some advice that you can give newer members that are looking to maybe contribute to the education the programming?
Well, raise your hand. We have that's absolutely, one of the first things. And it's one thing I can tell you from my experience, and I'm sure you have this as well, Greg, that, I've been around this group since the very first P3 conference, way, way, way back. It wasn't that long ago, right? This community in general, going back to that very first conference, I know, all of us that were there were looking around like, wow, there's a lot of us who do this. Yeah. And there are so many really great people. This is still a developing profession within the legal community. And so many great people, when you get involved, you get to meet more people, you get more ideas, and you build some really good relationships with a lot of other people that you might not normally meet outside of this.
That's very, very
we're
true.
all busy, obviously, whether, obviously with us in firms, or if you're in legal ops, or any of the, the vendors, you get busy with day to day. You talk with a ton of people, but we don't always talk with our peers and colleagues. And so this is a fantastic way that you do get to meet a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. So, I want to kind of pick your brain just a little bit here, but what kind of trends are you seeing in especially in education, maybe demands of education or the type of education you talked about, kind of using the education to lead into the conference. So what trends are you spotting with in the landscape here?
Well, I know one thing that we have discussed over the past couple of years at least, and it's one I don't know exactly where it's going to end up. To be honest, obviously we always have changing technology, and I think that 2-letter acronym that we're mentioning less these days because it's starting, at least the idea is starting to settle in a little bit, so we don't have to mention it every 5 seconds. And you can tell I'm avoiding saying it.
Yeah. I was thinking we were 11 minutes into this conversation before we even touched on it.
I'll call that a win.
It's a win.
With all the different skill sets and really all the different positions that we have in this community, I think there's a lot that we could explore with very specific skill sets and professionalizing a lot of what we do. And I know there are a lot of organizations and there's different avenues you can take for both, pricing certification, project management certification. I think there's a lot more we could explore there. And I kind of liken it, to the legal profession. You have to get CLE credit every year if you're a practicing attorney. Do we need to get something like that? Yeah, maybe not yet, but having a consistent stream of making sure that you're keeping up on skills, I think most of us want to do that. I know so many people like, what am I missing? What more can I know? There's a ton of us that think that, and so I could very much see that starting to roll out, within our community.
Yeah, we're definitely surrounded by a bunch of people that are lifelong learners, I think. So
Yeah.
all right. Well, Shawn Gross, I want to thank you very much for letting us shine the spotlight on you this month. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.